Welcome to Geopolitical News, your channel for geopolitical updates. Today, we have had some relevant news, such as the imposing demonstrations that recently took place in Poland. It is important to highlight that Poland is gearing up for a crucial election that will have a significant impact on global geopolitical changes. As mentioned earlier, the relationship between Poland and Ukraine raises some delicate issues. Ukraine was freely exporting its grains to the European market, but Poland, being a major grain producer, expressed concerns about this practice. This resulted in a dispute, in which Ukraine claimed that Poland was practicing protectionism. As a consequence, Ukraine turned to the World Trade Organization, WTO, against Poland. This caused some bewilderment in Poland as they considered it a betrayal, given that they have always been a supply corridor for Ukraine, especially concerning the supply of equipment like the MiG-29. The strong defense of Polish farmers during this dispute had a considerable impact, not only for economic reasons but also because Poland has an influential rural oligarchy that plays a significant role in the country's political decisions. This move was also seen as an electoral strategy as Poland is approaching parliamentary elections. The Law and Justice Party, PiS, which has a right-wing nationalist inclination, seeks to maintain its position, while the Civic Coalition led by Donald Tusk aims to challenge them at the polls. It is worth noting that before the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, two countries, Hungary and Poland, were considering the possibility of leaving the European Union. Poland, in particular, has faced criticism from the European Union due to judicial reforms that weakened the judiciary and strengthened the parliament, leading to a perception of a lack of full democracy. Authoritarian measures, such as immigration restrictions and incentives for childbirth to maintain the local workforce, have also been adopted. Furthermore, Poland has faced criticism related to LGBTQ+ rights, and as a result, it lost European Union funding in the post-pandemic period. This also applies to Hungary, which blocked financial packages intended for Ukraine. However, it is important to note that during times of crisis, such as war, Poland tends to unify and strengthen its position. In this context, the political left argues against the current Prime Minister, Donald Tusk, suggesting that he represents a threat to democracy and that he may pursue political opponents if he wins the elections. It is a polarized election, with one camp advocating for the European Union and more progressive policies, while the other group embraces a nationalist and conservative approach. Recently, there was a massive march called the Million Hearts March, aimed at protesting against the current Prime Minister and his alleged attempt to turn Poland into a dictatorship. And to conclude, folks, but equally important, the situation between Russia and Ukraine is generating controversial statements from Russia. It's important to remember that President Putin marked September 30th as the official day of the reintegration of 4 territories. Crimea had already been annexed in 2014, but now they are celebrating the incorporation of Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson. Putin emphasized that they are seeking prosperity and the reincorporation of these territories, citing ethnic, cultural, and defense reasons for the Russians living there. However, it's also evident that Russia is pursuing a strategic route to the Black Sea, a sea of great importance to them. These annexed territories have crucial industrial zones and represent nearly 15% of global grain production. Additionally, they host the largest nuclear power plant in the European continent, the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. This reveals that economic and geopolitical issues play a significant role. However, President Medvedev went further and declared that the special military operation, as they call it, will continue until the complete destruction of neo-Nazism and the liberation of originally Russian territories. This suggests that Russia is aiming for an even broader expansion. Is Putin planning to implement the ideas of Alexander Dugin, who is pointed out as his ideologist, and thereby build the new Russia, which is one of Dugin's concepts? While Medvedev's statements may sound extremist, it's important to remember that he is a defense advisor and a prominent leader in the main Russian political party. He also criticized the moves of European Union countries like Germany, considering the deployment of long-range Taurus missiles to Ukraine. This could escalate tensions in the region. Medvedev warned that if this happens, Russia will not directly attack the missiles in Ukraine but rather the German factories producing them, which could result in a direct confrontation with Germany. Furthermore, the United Kingdom has considered sending military instructors to Ukraine, which Medvedev warned could also trigger an escalation. In summary, the situation between Russia and Ukraine is becoming increasingly complex and dangerous, with the risk of a possible Third World War mentioned by Medvedev. The intense rhetoric and ongoing actions make this a geopolitically significant and concerning issue. It's crucial to monitor the development of this crisis and its potential consequences. Feel free to leave your comments below on whether you think this is more of Medvedev's bluff or something to be genuinely concerned about. We also have some great news for Ukraine, or at least a demonstration of support is taking place. In fact, the in-person meeting of the European Union foreign ministers in Ukraine has occurred, which is a significant milestone. For the first time, this meeting did not take place in a European Union member country but rather in Ukraine. This demonstrates substantial support, as evidenced by the statements made during the event. For example, the foreign minister of Lithuania mentioned that the situation is critical, mainly due to the United States and Slovakia, but the Baltic countries are reinforcing their support for Ukraine. France, through Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna, also reaffirmed its ongoing commitment to Ukrainians, ensuring that the West will not tire of supporting Ukraine. Joseph Borrell, the representative of the European Union, stated that Ukraine will become a member of the organization, reaffirming the EU's commitment to Ukraine. However, there are signs of fatigue from some countries, such as the United States. Some news reports indicate that American lawmakers are more concerned about Ukrainian borders than U.S. borders. Elon Musk also commented on this issue, suggesting that Zelensky might be pressuring the Americans for more funding. Additionally, in Slovakia, a pro-Russia candidate was elected and promised to stop funding Ukraine. This weariness is evidenced by issues such as corruption in Ukraine and the slowness of the counteroffensive. This raises doubts about whether the population will continue to support Ukrainians in the future. Therefore, the lingering question is whether this European Union meeting will result in lasting support for Ukraine, especially if the United States elects Trump or Ron DeSantis, who have a different approach to Ukraine.